Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we're going to be doing a first look at the deluxe edition of the Siege of Constantinople, 1453 AD. This one was designed by Richard Berg and is published by Decision Games. Just got this not too long ago. If you watched my April arrivals, you saw it. Thickest box of the 4 games I got, but and of course, this being designed by the late great Richard Berg is certainly an interesting piece here. So this is, of course, as you might guess from the title, a simulation of one of the classic sieges in all of history. Considered the strongest fortified city in the Western world, Constantinople, capital of the Byzantine Empire, had withstood over 20 sieges, so on and so on. Okay, this deluxe edition reprints the original SPI game from Strategy and Tactics magazine, maintaining the earlier edition's rules while incorporating known errata and adding variant naval rules, new graphics, enlarged counters, and a larger mounted map board. We have 2 scenarios. The primary campaign, which covers the siege and can be played in about 4 hours, includes bombardment and tunneling, as well as fire and melee combat. The assault scenario covers the second half of the siege, when most of the actual fighting took place, removing the bombardment aspect of the game. This enables a quick 2 hours or less game that incorporates all the major portions of the rules. For solitaire play, the assault scenario is recommended. Optional naval rules from Moves magazine are included for the campaign scenario. Since the original naval rules can add considerable time to gameplay, this edition also provides a simplified set of naval rules, which speed up play considerably. Okay, with Constantinople Deluxe Edition, you decide how to strategize and replay this historic siege. Will the fortified capital of the Byzantine Empire survive the siege, or will it fall to the overwhelming Ottoman forces? It's up to you. All right, let's open up the box and see what's inside. 2d6 green, 1 baggie. So probably not a lot of counters if you only get, 2 baggies. This happens to me a lot, where I think there's only 1 and there's actually 2. The instruction book, we will probably be taking a look at this. It runs about 31 pages. Some of this is going to be article, perhaps. Well, I guess only the last couple pages. Right? Okay, then we've got our player aid cards. Several of these, actually quite a few. Oh, there's the counter sheet. Here's the counter sheet. So we will look at that. I'm going to put this in the order in which I'm going to take a look at them. And then our mounted map board in 2 pieces. Now, the terrain around the city is not all that exciting, but at least not according to the picture on the back of the box. As you can see, pretty plain. But we will be taking a look here. Map 1 and map 2. I saved the map for last, because that's how I do it. All right, we're going to start here with the rules. I'll skim through here, look at some high points perhaps as I identify them, or if I identify them. Then we'll move on to counters, player aid card, and then, of course, the maps. Table of contents, as I mentioned, they run 30 pages up to the historical background. So typical case-based table of contents here. We got our credits, right? So originally was designed by Richard Berg. It looks like the 2026 edition credits the couple of developers, Doug Johnson and Keith Powell, as well as proofers. The map was done by Joseph Youst, counters by Nadir Afrara, and production Richard Aguirre and Christine Foss. Okay, so originally an SPI game, and Richard Berg, of course, was, I should say, one of the best designers of his time, at least in my opinion, and that of probably a lot of other people as well. We got our introduction here. We won't go through that again. Commonly used abbreviations. A lot of these are familiar with 1d6, 2d6. CP is capability points, DR, EZOC, GT for turns, PAC is the player aid card, SP strength point, TEC, That's the terrain effects chart. The tech, I don't call it that, I call it TEC. And the ZOC, of course, ZOC, zone of control. Course of play, it's played in a series of phases, not all of which are used in each game turn. One player controls the Ottoman or besieging army, while the other player directs the Byzantine or besieged forces during each game turn. Dependent on which scenario the players are using, the players perform a series of maneuvers governed by the phase they are in. Okay, game equipment, map, playing pieces. Take a quick look at the sample units here so that we'll know what we're looking at when we see them on the counter sheet. So you have a Janissary here. That's the designation, unit type, icon, infantry. Then you have the 3 numbers there. You got attack strength at the top, and we see both full and reduced strength. You have defense in the middle and morale at the bottom. Okay, moving on. Here's another look at typical leader unit. So you have here the Emperor, Constantine the 11th, with his combat rating, combat rating at the top, morale in the middle, and his morale radius at the bottom. Then you have other counter types. You have siege towers, etc., catapults, guns, cannons, urbans, bombard, Ottoman assault capability, breach level damage, and some other stuff here. Okay, then the forces, movement allowances. You can see leaders get 6 movement points. Combat units 5, siege towers 4, and catapults cannot move. All right, then we have a list of names and abbreviations for the units. I will spare you my shoddy pronunciation skills on some of these, although I can probably handle Johannes Grant here. That one I can do. Game charts and tables. So these are what each of the player aid cards are. We've got scenario, deployment, and reinforcement lists on PAC 1. Pack 2 has charts and tables, a bunch of them. Pack 3, display tracks. Pack 4, optional naval game. Pack 4, again, optional naval game. Simplified. Pack 5 has the naval game log sheet, and Pack 6 is the Ottoman mine placing, or planning sheet, rather. Game scale, each hex is approximately 200 yards. However, because of the usual nature of sieges, certain terrain features have been abstracted in the interest of playability. That makes sense, okay? Our sequence of play. So here's our game turn. Number 1, planning phase. So you have an Ottoman troop allocation segment where the Ottoman player secretly notes the location of his troops by assault area. Then the Byzantine strategic movement segment, where the Byzantine player may move any of his land units up to double their movement allowance. Then the Ottoman tunnel segment, where they secretly note where the Ottoman player secretly notes where he's attempting to tunnel on his mine planning sheet. He then rolls 1d6 for each hex to see whether the tunneling operation has succeeded. Number 2 is the bombardment or assault phase. So you're going to either bombard or assault, I guess. I'll spare you the sub things because, again, when we play, or when I play, we'll get into that stuff. Then we have the assault phase. We have the bombardment or assault phase. Then the assault impulse, assuming we do the assault, which has movement segments for both sides, simultaneous fire, then an Ottoman engineering segment, a Byzantine melee segment, and an Ottoman melee segment, and then simultaneous ineffective removal segment. You will remove all ineffective markers from the combat units, basically a reset, I guess, of their strength or ability to conduct combat. Byzantine repair, and then the game turn indication phase. Okay, that's it. That's your turn sequence. Movement. We have movement rules, of course, as you would expect. How do you move your units? Effects of terrain. Special terrain. You've got assault areas. It says there are several terrain types in Constantinople that are unusual as far as standard war games go. They are examined in detail below. We have assault areas. The Foss, which was a wide stone moat which ran parallel to and along most of the length of the outer walls. It was capable of being flooded, but was not during the siege, and was divided by partitions into sections roughly equivalent to the hex sides on the map. Foss is a formidable but not impossible obstacle unless it is filled with debris. This is accomplished during the Ottoman engineering segment of the assault segment. It may also be emptied by the Byzantine player in the repair segment of the assault phase. So it has different effects on movement and combat depending on whether it's filled or empty, and we will see the TEC terrain effects chart for that. And you have the outer walls were the second line of defense after the Foss of the triple walls of Theodosius. Theoretically weaker than the inner walls, the outer walls were actually stronger, as the inner walls, although much higher and thicker, were in a state of disrepair. Okay, then you got stuff on the outer walls, stuff on the inner walls that were, again, higher and thicker, but in worse repair. Then the city walls, which divide one area of the city from another. Only the major city walls of Constantinople are included on the map. City walls act as only minor hindrances to movement and benefit defense. Similarly, all effects can be seen on the TEC. Palace hexes. So you have the new imperial palace, which is considered level with the Paraticion and adjacent to the Blackene, and I'm sure I'm butchering those names, area. The old imperial palace and the hippodrome are level with the rest of the city. Then you have gates. This is very interesting. And the various areas here. Effects of leaders on movement, stacking rules. You can stack nobody, apparently. No stacking of combat units. Leaders, catapults, and siege towers are not combat units. Okay. So you can never have more than one combat unit of any type in any given hex at the end of a particular phase segment or impulse. Leader, siege towers, and catapult units may always stack with combat units. The various markers used for informational purposes do not count. It's pretty simple. You can move through hexes which contain other friendly units. Catapults can always stack with one combat unit, but not with another catapult unit. Guns, cannons, and Urban's Bombard are placed during the bombardment phase. And you've got your Zocs here. 6 hexagons immediately surrounding a hex constitute the zone of control. Pretty standard. Hexes upon which units exert a zone of control are called controlled hexes and inhibit the movement of enemy units. This is pretty bog standard here. How zones of control operate. Okay, we've got this here. Okay, they can't go through C hex sides, and they can't extend through unbreached wall or gate hex sides into a hex on a higher elevation than the unit exerting the ZOC. And you've got examples of all of that stuff. And we have assault rules. 6 Ottoman divisions, one of which, the Bashi Bazouks, have no leader. Ottoman assault capability. Okay, this is an interesting rule, and I will have to absorb it before we talk about it. I'm just not going to read it right now out loud. Then you have fire combat and how it happens, what units may fire. You have a catapult missile fire results table here. Okay, effects of terrain on fire combat. Got some more images here talking about that. Then we have melee combat during assault. An EZOC melee is mandatory. This one is higher and is not in an EZOC, so not melee is voluntary. So in this example, you'd have the Ottoman force would have to melee and he would not. Okay. Leader casualties, bombardment rules. Placement of artillery. More examples of that. How to bombard. Results of bombardment. Movement across walls, advance after combat, breach damage level, and then special rule for Urban's Bombard at 10.4. 10.5 is repairing the wall breach damage. 11 is siege works and engineering. For all tunneling, you've got destroying walls, you've got discovering the tunnels, rules about the Foss, filling it and emptying it. As we saw, that affects its impact on the battlefield. Siege Tower rules, Greek fire. Constructing a bridge across the Golden Horn. Huh. Okay, starting with game turn 10, there is a bridge between Pera and the Blackernay assault area. So as you can see, there's a bridge right there. Leader rules. Leaders in combat, Sultan Mehmet II, Giovanni Giustiniani, who was in command of the army, I guess. True command was in the hands of the extremely capable Genoese soldier of fortune, Giovanni Giustiniani Longo. I think that's how you say his name. Sailors and victory. Then we have scenarios. You've got the assault game and the campaign game, which includes the preliminaries to that. This was the SPI's designer notes, written, of course, by Richard Berg, and his bibliography for it. And then we have the optional naval rules here, both in their original Bergian format and their altered format for this game. Then optional naval rules simplified. And our article here at the end by Ralph Vickers. Cool artwork too. I like that. That's pretty cool. All right, now counter sheet. So we've got our Ottomans on this side, and you can see there's the Sultan right there. So you got your leaders. And the various units. You can see they're kind of color-coded. You see their ratings. Got some Janissaries. Got their ships, biremes, and galleys. Siege towers, guns, bombard, etc. Over here would be the Ottoman, not the Ottomans, the other one, the Byzantines. Yeah, those guys. Their forces here. And their leaders and so on as well. There's the Emperor. There's Giustiniani right below the Emperor. Ships. And their various forces. You can see they're kind of outnumbered here. And then we got some more markers. And the game turn marker, and of course double-sided. You've got the reduced side with their yellow stripes on them, and the markers. So pretty simple. One sheet. All right, now this is campaign game. So this would be one of the player aids, and I don't remember. Oh, this is pack 1. Okay, it says right there, PAC1. So we get 2 copies of it, and this is your initial deployment. So you've got your Byzantine initial deployment here and your Ottoman deployment here. Then the notes on the reserve units that show up later. Okay, then we have here, this is player aid card number 2 with the terrain effects chart on it, as well as a Greek fire table, the abbreviated sequence of play, movement allowances by unit type, catapult and missile fire results table, and your leader casualty table. And on the other side, we have the melee CRT, we have the casualty possibility table, catapult missile fire results table, bombardment table, and over here you've got Foss debris removal, levels repaired, repair capability, and assault game wall damage table. Right, as you would expect, we get 2 copies of that as well. Then we have our record track. There's only one of these. This is technically player aid card 3. You can see it starts on April 12th and runs through June 3rd and 4th. Impulses are tracked here. Salt areas are tracked at the bottom. And we've got 2 more copies of this guy. This is player aid card number 4. So this is the naval card. And this is the optional naval rules. And yeah, optional naval rules. So you've got your naval melee combat, anti-ship bombardment, ramming table, and your wind table, and more cool art on the bottom. And on this side, you've got your simplified versions, your simplified naval melee combat result table for boarding and ramming. Pretty cool. This is the log sheet, aka player aid card 5, single-sided. And I guess you would make copies. Yeah, players should make copies. This is actually on cardstock. So I would make copies of this for paper if you were going to play the naval portion of the game. You will need this. There are two of, well, there's more than 2. We have this. I forgot about player aid card number 6, the Ottoman Mine planning sheet. Now this is interesting. There are the hex numbers. Tunnel segment. All tunnels must originate from western map edge. May branch out in any direction. So this sounds like this would be kind of fun. Ottoman tunnel determination table. And there's the map, so you can see what you're trying to tunnel under. Single-sided, but this is neat. When I play, because it's solitaire, I would play the assault game most likely, because again, and I get it, that's why the game's solitaire rating is low. Because if you want to play the whole game, you should play the preliminary. And with 2 players, you really can't, because the Ottoman stuff has to be kind of hidden. All right, the map is actually large enough that I cannot fit the entire thing in one shot. I am zoomed out pretty far right now, and this is map 1, and it is turned sideways, okay? So what you're seeing here is, well, it's upside down to some extent, so I guess I should flip it around because even the numbers are upside down. This is Constantinople. So this is your city, and in here is the walls and the Foss, right? And these are the walls of Theodosius, of course. Here's the Golden Horn, so that's your water, right? And then this is the area that the Turks would be coming from. This would be west, I believe. So this is map 1, okay? And I will take, here's the palace, the new palace. Forum of Arcadius is here, Forum of the Bull up there. All right, let me switch out and we'll look at the, well, let's look at the other gates. We've got the gates here too. You've got the, what does that one say? Postern Gate, Golden Gate, Second Military Gate, the Pege Gate, Third Military Gate, the Gate of Regium, Fourth Military, Civil Gate of St. Romanus, the Fifth Military Gate, St. Romanus, Gate of Carisius, Gate of the Caligaria, and Gate of Black Herne. Lots of gates. We have gates over here as well. Gate of the Fanar, Gate of the Petrion, Gate of St. Theodosia, Gate Ice Pegas, perhaps. All right, switching out to map 2. All right, here is map number 2. This one actually has the terrain key on it. North is this way, kind of that way. So west, as I said, would have been the other side. This is obviously the part of Constantinople that sticks out into the Sea of Marmara. And here's the Bosphorus up here. Galatia over on this side. You've got the Tower of Christ here. Here's the Boom. Then you've got the various quarters here inside the city. There's St. Sophia. Here's the Hippodrome and the Old Imperial Palace, the Forum of Constantine, the Forum of Theodosius, the Philadelphion, and the harbor of Eleutherios down here. On your various gates, Eugenius here, St. Barbara, Gate of the Lighthouse. So these obviously are all facing the water. Platea Gate is here. The Horea Gate is there. This is the wall of Septimius Severus, sorry. Right here, kind of an internal wall. Wall of Byzantium right there. Okay, so this is your map. So think about it turned sideways with the other one. I could probably rig something up to get the whole thing in shot, but I'm not really set up for like super wide right now. So that's why we had to do this in 2 pieces. So anyway, this will complete my look. Actually, no, it won't. I wanted to show you one other thing that I thought was pretty cool. On the box bottom, you got these cool art. I don't want to get too much shadow on there, but you get these cool artworks of the various units on here. Got the ships and all the various types of combat units. Very cool. Very cool. Really nice job by Decision. Their deluxe editions are really, really nice. You could maybe knock them a little bit on the counters being very old school, but they do what they do and they do it very well. So that is going to do it for this one. That completes my first look at what's upside down, Joe. The Siege of Constantinople, designed by the late, great Richard Berg. This is the deluxe edition from Decision Games. And yeah, we're done. So thank you for watching. Quick shout out to my channel members. Appreciate the support from you guys, as usual. For everyone else, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll come back to check out something else down the road. While you're here, please consider liking, sharing, hyping, or maybe even subscribing if you're not a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being a subscriber. If you have anything to say, questions to ask, things like that, please put it in the comment section. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. But we are done here. I am Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.